Hi everyone, it's Nicole Spohr here, and today I'm going to be sharing this shading die cuts with markers card featuring Honey Bee die cuts. I decided to create this entire card front that doesn't have any sentiments. The sentiments will all be inside the card because I wanted to use these big, bold die cut images to really fill the whole front of the card. I'm going to start by taking this really light piece of Hues Arctic cardstock that I'm adhering to the wood grain background here created by trimming a 4¼ by 5½ inch piece of the Bee's Knees Honeybee Stamps pattern paper. I wanted to just go ahead and find a pattern paper that would work as siding for the house. And then I have the blue background, which is actually going to be the inside of the house. And I've die cut the curtains using the Cottage window dies. This color of cardstock that I'm using is called Fawn Rainforest. It's a nice dark teal. We've got our window frame die cut from Fawn Fog cardstock. And then I think I ended up with 4 layers for the top casing of the window, which I will share in a little bit. I think I ended up adding an extra. I had 3 to begin with and I ended up with a 3rd, but that's going to go along the top and I'll show you that in a minute and the reason why I stacked so many on top. In addition, before I attach the frame, I need to add the pig. The pig is inside the house. I know it's a little backwards. The pig probably should be outside the house, but in this card, the pig's in the house. And that was die cut from my favorite light color of pink cardstock, and that is Hero Arts, Hues Peony cardstock. It's the perfect light pink. Now the hooves for my pig, that is going to be from the Pencil Eraser Lawn Fawn cardstock, which you'll see me add, and it just gives a nice contrast. It really does. Now the reason that I stacked so many of the window casings for the front, I could have put foam adhesive back behind it. In fact, I opted to do that for the flower box, and I'll kind of share why I did different things here. The casing. It's actually going to sit up on top of the windowsill. It's not going to overlap anything in this card. So I decided to stack them one on top of another. That's because if I attach this directly to the card base itself, it was going to be way far back from the frame, meaning it was everything else going on in the window frame and the curtains and the pig in the background, that was all going to be flat because each layer you add is just going to add more depth and dimension. And I really didn't want that casing to get lost. I wanted it to look flush with the window frame, even though we don't have to add as many of those things. But if you look and see how many layers are underneath the frame, that's kind of how I gauged how many of that window casing to add to the top. Now, the reason I opted not to do the same thing, stacking one on top of another, I could have even done a different, just as nice solid cardstock for the window box, the flower box there, because I die cut this from a wood grain texture cardstock. It overlaps the bottom of the frame a little bit. So instead of stacking them one on top of another, I did one, and I'm going to put some foam adhesive under just the bottom part, the bottom 3/4 part of the window box, and pop that up right there underneath the frame. That's also going to give me the perfect little kind of lip underneath to stick all of my florals from the Bunch of Bouquets die set. This card combines some dies, both a little bit newer. The Cottage was from just not this last release, but the one before. So pretty new. And then we've got the pinky paper piecing, the little pig there. That's been out for a while. I've used it multiple times. And then the bouquet builder, or the Bunch of Bouquets, this has been out for a while and I love it. So combining all of these things together, new and old, something I like to reiterate a lot in my videos is being able to find new life for products you might already have on hand. Maybe just adding, 1 or 2 new little elements here and there if you want to. So just a fun little way to build a scene card that is a full scene. Something else I've really been loving is maybe not necessarily always adding the sentiment to the front of the card. You definitely could. I think a little banner, or if it's a small sentiment, you could do that. You could have even maybe had the pig holding something in its hands inside the house, a little sign. I don't know. There's lots of different options out there, and kind of maybe shop your stash is what I like to call it, and see what you have. But I opted to make mine clean. So the recipient can really display this without showing an extra sentiment, I guess. But I am going to stamp inside the card because Honeybee always does such a fantastic job of creating cute little punny stamp sets that, you know, really, really play on their cute little critters and characters, and I just love that. And I wanted my window box to be really full, but as we're going into the fall months, I opted, you can probably notice the colors are a little bit deeper and darker and not so maybe bright and colorful. They're still colorful. So I went with deeper colors. My reds and like canned pumpkin is the cardstock color for the orange. Number 2 pencils, the color for the yellow. Pesto and palm are the colors of Hero Arts cardstock that I used for the leaves and the greenery and all of that. And the purple, that deep, beautiful purple, is, again, probably one of my favorite colors, and that is Hero Arts Plum cardstock. It's absolutely gorgeous. I am not a big purple person. If you followed my videos, follow my channel, you may have heard me mention this in other videos. Every once in a while, though, I'll get like on a kick where I like a purple color combination. There is one I love in inks and markers. Probably a little bit more on the blue side, though. But I love plum. So it's not really purple purple, I guess I would call it, but plum is one of my favorites. Now, I got to this point, and while I loved my die cut card, I felt like it was lacking something. And I really wanted to show you building the scene and then the difference that markers used to create shading would create. So look at the depth and dimension of the leaves, number 1. That adds so much texture. Adding a little bit of marker, I'm only using one color, you guys, per color. So I'm not doing a ton of shading, but it's adding so much depth and dimension to these flowers. So you can kind of see how it looked before, and then if you add shading with whatever markers you want to use, look how amazing that is. And I definitely went tone on tone, tried to pick colors just a smidge darker than the cardstock color, and I even went in and added some shading to the pig. I will say, while I did it this way for the video tutorial because I wanted you to see the difference between building the scene as is, which was definitely cute, I would send that card out just as is, but I wanted to show you that to the difference of this. I would recommend coloring in your images before putting the whole thing together, if you don't want to have to be so careful. If you don't mind kind of having to be a little bit more careful like you would have to do coloring in a line art image, this is, you know, not that hard to do. And I really did very basic, easy, simple shading. I did not go crazy at all. I am a really big fan of just nice, simple shading for this. You can do as much or as little as you like. I even made sure and did the window casing, the window frame. We are going to need to do the flower box. I want it all to coordinate, so I definitely need to go in and add that to all areas of the design. We want to add that to the curtains as well. Now, the color I ended up using for the curtains, while I totally love it, and I think it does complement the Rainforest cardstock nicely, the curtains for me were the hardest part to do after the scene was built. And if I had to do that, I definitely would have done that part off camera, or not off camera, but before building the card and the scene. But it ended up being okay, and I'm going to tell you my little tip. If you're not loving the color you used, and it's a little harsh, you've already glued everything down, your colorless blender should help that a little bit. And I went over those areas multiple times with my colorless blender. And that's really gonna, it's not gonna blend so much, it's just gonna kind of move that ink out. So where I had such harsh lines before, it's really gonna mute them. It's not gonna be as dark as you see here. The alcohol ink of the Copic markers has not evaporated yet. You can even kind of watch it, especially on this dark cardstock evaporate. So it's going to dry pretty quickly, and you're going to just be left with some nice shading for the curtains. Added in a little color along the window box there with the brown marker, and then I do need to add in the pig's eyes. And I put a little bit of glue in there. I die cut the face again from black cardstock, and we've got the cute face. One of my favorite tips is always to go in, and I added some eyelashes and a little white highlight to the eyes. I'm even going to add some little white highlights to the pig's face. You could do that to many areas on this. I opted not to go crazy with the highlighting. We're going to keep it just kind of to the pig's face, to the snout area, and then I added white centers to some of my flowers. I didn't want to do an extra die cut layer there, and I really liked how the white looked in the center of those flowers. And adding in the eyes, adding in that detail adds so much character to that pig's face. Instantly comes to life. Inside the card, on my card base, I am going to take sentiments from the Ham It Up stamp set. We're going to start with the phrase "this little" and the word "piggy" and the word "says." And I'm going to stamp all of those first. And the reason I didn't stamp all the words at once, thanks is scripty, and I couldn't like squish them up close together like I wanted to, doing all of it all at once. So I kind of separated into the first part and then the second. What I love is you can position these stamps in lots of different ways. First of all, there's loads of different phrases you can use, pardon me. Over there on the right side of the screen, you can see I'm fiddling with the stamp set. So you could build any kind of card. There's birthday sentiments, there's, pig out, tickled pink, maybe if you got a baby card, switch up some of the accessories here. This could be a cute baby card. Go hog wild, a get well. So you could have this little piggy says get well, this little piggy says go hog wild, this little piggy says I love you, misses you, see you soon. I mean, you guys get the idea. Lots and lots of phrases. So it could say anything. I just did a little thank you card, but the scripty word I stamped separate so that I could marry it up and get it closer to the rest of them. And I stacked mine one on top of another. I liked how that filled in the area inside my card. On a little scrap of smooth white cardstock then, this was completely an afterthought, I thought, we're working with honeybee stamps. I love adding little bees, and wouldn't some cute little bees be really cute around that flower box? So I stamped these little bees from the Birds and the Bees stamp set. They're the teeniest, tiniest ones in the honeybee collection. Love them. And I am going to color them really quickly. Nothing special, no special coloring here. Super, super fast coloring. And once that's done, I'm going to take the coordinating dies and we're going to die cut those cuties and add those around our flower box. And I know I did 4 here, but I actually ended up only using 3 of them on my card. Nothing really, they're so tiny, and there's not any other coloring other than our shading, I guess I want to say, on this design. So I didn't worry a whole lot about adding tons to these. They're a supporting cast, if you will. So we're going to just add those little bees. So the little piggies in the house looking out at the beautiful flowers and the little bees buzzing around. So kind of a little fall flower box card here. I took some Nouveau Crystal drops in White Blizzard, and I'm going to add those to the bees' wings. It does give a little sparkly effect, a little clear sparkly effect to them. It's really subtle. I don't really know that it translates on screen all that well, but it's one of my favorite finishing details for anything that might have wings. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video showcasing how to add some shading to die cuts with markers. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring honeybee stamps and dies that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to hit the subscription button and the bell so that you never miss a new video. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time.